Oh, yes. Welcome back once again, everyone. Today I have a review for War for Cybertron Siege Greenlight with Dazzlestrike. This is, at least for now, an Amazon exclusive toy. Comes with the deluxe class figure Greenlight, who is a retool of the Power of the Primes Moon Racer toy, along with Dazzlestrike, who is a redeco of Lionizer from Siege. So, if you know my reviews, you'll know how we do this. We'll take a look at the packaging, the instructions, look at the figure itself, check out its different modes, do a lot of comparisons, and then give some final thoughts toward the end. So this is the outer shipper box that exclusives like to show up in. You can see my youngest got a hold of it and scrolled on it a little bit. Luckily, I don't care about keeping this box. But, you know, you got a little Hasbro logo, kind of the product description for the toy with Battle Masties. It's like the Blasty Zone. So, you open this bad boy up here. It's got this little insert because of the shape of the box itself. Kind of just goes like that. But yeah, this is the packaging, and oh, I already took them out, lo and behold. Bigger than your normal deluxe size package. It's a good bit wider because they have to fit, you know, Dazzlestrike in there and all that. But you can see it's got the usual branding, Autobot Greenlight and Dazzlestrike. This is War vs. Cybertron Siege number 15. So numerically, this is way behind what's out in stores right now. Right here, you have this really just awesome shot of these two. Dazzlestrike's art is completely just reused from Lionizers, just kind of cheapens it, but he does look good leaping over Greenlight like that, and she's doing something here, I don't know, with her communicator. The hidden message on here is actually Lancer, and we found out about that a good while before this toy actually released. If you go on the Transformers website, put in Lancer, it gives you a schematic for a new combiner, which is comprised of Alita 1, this figure and its two mold mates so far, and then a mystery figure, though given the code you put in, it's almost certainly going to be Lancer, which I'm looking forward to because that'll kind of complete the whole group along with Chromia. The new combiner's name is Orthia, so it's a change up from the Alita Infinite name that we were given previously. So I guess that's just going to be kind of one of those cases where, you know, is it Ultra Prime, is it Optimus Maximus? Who knows? Probably just depends on who Alita is combined with. All right, on the back here you have Greenlight's two modes. You have Dazzlestrike's two modes there, how many steps they take, showing off some Battle Masters. And that's really it. A little bit less on this box than you're used to. Typical Siege artwork, and then nothing special on the top and bottom. All right, the instructions, bit bigger than your usual deluxe instructions. It's got renders of Greenlight and Dazzlestrike on here. Open it up. Shows the interactivity that Greenlight gets with her Prime armor, which has been renamed. You'll see that in a second. Shows you how to transform Greenlight to her vehicle mode, transform Dazzlestrike to its weapon mode there. A little bit of cross cells on the back. Shows how they interact with Greenlight. And then here, this is interesting. So Greenlight obviously is a Power of the Primes mold, isn't, you know, naturally part of the Transformers Siege toy line. So they got a little creative. They went and renamed her Prime armor to a C-50 Sonic Electro armor. So whether or not it's meant to interact with Prime Masters in universe, who knows? Obviously, the toy can. And then Dazzlestrike's weapon mode is called a Shadow Steel Ice Blade. And that's really confusing because his Fire Blast effect is fire. Just straight fire. It's not blue fire, or it's orange, hot-looking fire, but For some reason, the weapon is called a Shadow Steel Ice Blade. So that's either the remnant of like some early change, or maybe it's a mess up. Maybe they name swapped and there's going to be like another Lionizer type guy that does ice. Who knows? Very weird. One thing you'll notice, which is unfortunate, is that these instructions do not show you how to transform Greenlight into her combiner limb modes. So that is a real shame. You know, if you want to make a combiner with her and you don't have the instructions for any of the other Moonracer mold characters, you're going to have a rough time with it. So I don't know if that was intentional for budget reasons or just an oversight, but the fact that they don't show you how to do that is kind of a downer. Right here we have the Transformers themselves. You have Greenlight and you have Dazzlestrike. Look at Dazzlestrike first, just because he's simpler. He, she, who knows. It is a direct redeco of Siege Lionizer as far as the main body, and then he gets this new Fire Blast effect, which is unique to him, so that's very cool. Biggest difference in color is the green inside the blade here. In fact, here is Lionizer, so you can see how they stack up to each other. Like I said, green blade. Lionizer has red eyes and an Autobot symbol on his forehead. Dazzlestrike lacks that, so interesting. In fact, I don't think he has any branding on him whatsoever, come to think of it. So yeah, and then, you know, weapon effects are obviously very different. You can see the way I have it attached to him right now, kind of just gives him this appearance that he's leaping forward, doing some sort of like flaming lunge, and it's just a good way to store that Fire Blast effect when he's in this mode. So yeah, his legs are all on ball joints, so he has a lot of articulation. And then, yeah, I mean, you can move his tail blaster thing around if you want to, though officially it just stays over his back. Up to you what you do with it. And then Greenlight's alternate mode is just that long, narrow Cybertronian race car mode that all the Moonracer type toys have. It's got the prime armor bit on the back, which you can choose to take off if you want to. I love the colors on this thing, which is very different from most anything else you see in Transformers. The kind of pastel looking colors. Biggest difference you'll probably spot in this mode is the forearms are completely new pieces. They lack the 5mm ports that the other uses of this mold have, which I don't really understand why, seeing as Siege is all about being able to connect weaponizers to the deluxes. You'd think they'd want to keep that in there for some bonus interactivity, but for whatever reason they didn't. And they also made this all one piece now instead of putting the fists on hinges. I don't know why they did that. I don't know if it was for cost cutting. I don't see how that would make sense, just because I imagine it would cost more to alter the existing mold to do this than it would to just keep producing it as is, but maybe I'm wrong. The car has some clearance issues a bit with the wheels. It rolls, but expect some scraping there, especially these little tabs. Here's a look at Greenlight with her two mold mates, Moonracer and Novastar, as well as Chromia, who shares a lot of engineering and even some parts with this mold, just to get a feel for how Greenlight compares to the others. Obviously with the two on the outside, she looks the most similar. You'll see paint in different areas between all three of these, which does help break up the monotony of mold a little bit. So it shares all the strengths and weaknesses of the other two toys. Just kind of comes down to personal preference as far as, you know, which one you like the best. You may have noticed that Greenlight doesn't come with a smaller weapon of her own like these two do. They have, you know, their little guns there. She doesn't have that. She has her prime armor and she has Dazzlestrike, and that's it. So I do feel a little cheated there, I won't lie. Yeah, I feel that for the price that we paid for this thing, she could have come with, even if it's just a repeat of one of their weapons, it would have been nice to have something, but oh well. All right, now we're going to go ahead and transform Greenlight to a robot mode. So if you haven't already, remove the prime armor, set it aside. All right, you're going to want to detach her arms from here. Kind of open these up a bit. You're gonna swing her torso forward, pull the head out all the way, swing it back in, just like that. You're gonna make her do a full 180 here at the waist. You wanna detach her backpack from her legs. You're gonna fold it all the way up. Make sure that the slots on it, which are up here, tab in there nice and securely. Don't push too hard, it is translucent plastic. Flip those back. You're gonna rotate this lower waist joint another 180. I'm gonna separate the feet, pull them down. You're untabbing them from here like that. All right, now you go ahead and give her a nice natural stance. All right, so get her all kind of set up. Fix her arms the way you want to. Make your adjustments, whatever. Head is kind of tight on that ball joint. But yeah, that is the robot mode. And, you know, pretty simple. See, it's an all new head sculpt. And it looks just like she did in the old 80s cartoon, which is nice. Her prime armor from earlier can either attach to her chest. Just go ahead and swing that down. Tabs in these little slots here. You gotta press kind of firmly to get them to stay in. Promise if you bump into her, this thing will fall out. It's not very secure. But yeah, she can attach her prime armor. I never did like the way it's set on this mold. It's really low. Yeah, it's like, should have been up a little higher, I think, but what can you do? Looks awkward. You could always take the little filler piece out if you want to. Make her hold it like a little handgun. Or you can make her hold the whole thing like a gun, which is what I like to do, especially for this mold. I like it as armor. Basically just flip the handle down, rotate these back, and then boom. Big old double barrel weapon. The old hand foot gun. So yeah, that's how she looks. Let's go ahead and transform Dazzlestrike to his weapon mode. Alright, Dazzlestrike's pretty simple. Remove that if you haven't. Flip the tail all the way out, clicks into place. Flip the head all the way in until that also clicks into place. Then you're gonna rotate his front feet back. Bring his hind legs forward. There's a little slot here in the chest that the hind legs plug into. So I'm gonna get those in there, nice and secure. And then rotate the front legs back until they tab into the hind legs. Like that. I'm gonna have to fiddle with it to get it nice and straight, but that's what you end up with. This little sword here. And the flame effect you can attach to the back, like so. And that is his weapon mode. So we can go ahead, we're on Greenlight again. Give her Dazzlestrike and let her have at it. Now he's a little hefty for her. She holds him up pretty well though. Interestingly, and it might be due to the paint, the ball joints for her elbows are much tighter than the ones for her shoulders. So she's more likely to drop him at the shoulder than she is for her elbow to like flop downward. So something to keep in mind. Again, that's my copy, might be different on yours. Overall though, she looks really good. You know, I see now why they painted him green, just kind of helps him match her colors a little bit. And she's pretty competent, pretty serious looking warrior type. Right here's the mold mates again, Moonracer and Novastar. And something interesting that I didn't realize until I got this toy. So everybody knew her head was different. People spotted out her forearms were different pieces. Turns out there's actually quite a bit more about Greenlight that is different from the other two. Her main like abdominal chest area is a new piece. It's even got like sculpted abs on it, where there's more mechanical in nature. Obviously the forearms. And then when you look at the lower legs and feet, so below the knee there, those are all new. It's completely different patterns, different designs. The feet are shaped differently. So she's been more modified than I think most people realize, which is good. I am not complaining because you get more mileage out of that mold. If there are any other differences, I have yet to spot them. But you know, it is cool. It helps set her apart a little bit. And I would imagine if there is a Lancer coming, she'll probably utilize this variation of the body type. But we'll see. You know, because she is a remold of these two, she does still have that really unsightly, massive backpack going on, which, if you're not careful, can make her a little back heavy. Might have her, you know, fall backwards. But yeah, she really fits right in with these teammates of hers, while managing to stay somewhat unique. Here's Chromia and Alita 1 for good measure, just so you can see what's so far assembled of the team all together. All we need is a Lancer, so, you know, hashtag don't let us down. Alright, and then the last thing we're going to do before we give the final thoughts is go ahead and combine what we have so far of the Orthia combiner. Get a feel for how that's going to look when it's finally completed. Alright, and this is 4/5 of Orthia with Ricochet lending support. It's the extra leg. And overall, you know, it's looking pretty good. It's obviously a very colorful combiner, which was going to be inevitable when it was based on a cast of characters which each had their own very distinct color schemes. So you can get a pretty good idea how the finished product's going to look if, you know, the assumptions are right and Lancer is indeed going to be the last leg. She'll match up very well with Greenlight here. You can see Nova Star's arm mode wielding Dazzlestrike, which is fitting because he's a flaming sword. She's Nova Star or Firestar. Yeah, pretty cool. So, you know, there will be a nice bit of symmetry about this combiner, if not color coordination. I don't know if I'm going to keep my fembots in this combiner configuration. I do have worries about the longevity of it, because this whole area right here that's bearing all the weight pretty much for this leg is clear plastic. And I feel like, you know, with enough continuous stress, that might start to crack and possibly break one day. So, I don't know. Not sure if it's wise to keep it in this configuration for too long. But overall, it's shaping up to be pretty good. And I do hope we get to see a completed, you know, Alita 1 team combiner here before too long. I mean, Greenlight came out one toy line too late. Hopefully Lancer won't continue that trend, and we'll see her sometime soon. Maybe Comic-Con, which is coming up. Who knows? For anybody just wanting to get Chromie in the picture too, there you go. Gang's almost all here now. It is a shame to some extent that Chromia couldn't be part of the combiner in some way, but at the same time, she did get a much improved design out of it. I still think that this, you know, new version of the mold is better than that one overall. So yeah, I think that's really all I have to say on this. Overall, I find Greenlight to be one of my favorite uses of this mold so far. My biggest knock against it is the forearms, the change of the forearms, the fact that it's all one molded piece now, makes it feel cheaper, and the fact that it lost the 5mm ports on the side. You know, I just find that odd. You know, she does come with her own Battle Master, which is pretty neat. Still wish she would have had her own weapon, but oh well. And, you know, she's a pretty decent price. She's not too expensive. Do you absolutely have to get her? You know, not really. This mold is not the strongest thing ever. It's mainly for completionists. People that have, you know, the other fembots and just really want to complete the set or complete the Orthia combiner. But I would say it's one of the best uses of the mold we've had so far. I love the colors on her. I'm hoping Lancers come out to be just as impressive. And definitely happy I bought this thing. I'm happy they made it and they're gonna finally finish this team. But that's how I feel about the toy. I'd love to know how you all feel about it down in the comments section. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more reviews like this or any of my other Transformers related content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. As always, I thank you all for joining me on this look at Siege Greenlight. And with all that said, I'll see you all next time.